Joining me right now, I have, of course, the newly elected Treasurer-General of the organization, Mayor Gwen Ramokgopa, who speaks. Was also joined by Medina Pule as well from the ANC Women's League. Mama, thank you very much for joining us. Maybe firstly, let me start by saying congratulations. I mean, this is a historic moment for the organization as well. But most importantly, in terms of women representation, female representation within the movement. For far too long, it's a message that's been preached, but now we are seeing that it's being implemented. How are you feeling?
Good evening, Pulent. Good evening also to the viewers out there. Indeed, it is a historic moment that we celebrate as women in particular, but also as African National Congress. If you recall, the ANC has a policy of 50-50 in its constitution. The only gap was that with the officials, in the past 10 years, we only had one woman, I think, in the office. At some stage, we had only two, but it is historic that we have three women as part of the officials, office bearers. Indeed, it is not coming on a platter, on a silver platter. Women crisscrossed the country. Not only amongst themselves, but also talking to branches, reverberating the desire of the sixth policy conference to have parity, gender parity in the top officials as well. And yes, it has happened. For the office, the women themselves, led by the ANC Women's League, had the desire of holding an office. Initially as GO, and they approached me and I agreed, but later on there was a desire to have a younger generation, you know, the whole principle of a generational mix, and thus the TG's office that we now occupy. So it is quite historic. It is indeed celebrating the legacy of Abu Mam Charlotte Makweke, who managed to mobilize men to form the African National Congress, even though she was not allowed to be a member herself. But she felt the task of liberating a country is too big for men alone. So it is not to occupy these seats to be shadows or flower pots as other institutions sometimes project women to be, but it is to work side by side with men for unity, for renewal, and to ensure that the social economic transformation agenda is advanced. Our democracy is young. We have made strides. We have made also some setbacks, especially with the huge curveball of the COVID-19 pandemic and, Russian war. We have high inflation rate, cost of living, floods and this and that. However, we need to build on the advances that our democratic dispensation has made, with the understanding that women also contributed to this democracy. It was not free. So only us as a society can take our development, our prosperity as a nation to the next level. And it is possible.
I mean, when you listen to the president's political message, yes, the opening of conference as well, he does make some sort of, sentiments around how there's been progression in terms of women representation in executive positions in government and other sectors as well. Would you say this was long overdue?
Most definitely long overdue. We celebrated in 2019 when President Ramaphosa set up his executive. It was 50-50 for the first time as such. But we do have a constitutional provision as the ANC for our own structures, the totality of the NEC, to be 50-50, gender parity. So this is over and above that.
And when we speak about the challenges in the office of the Treasurer-General, of course, the SACP's message of support also comes to say it's important that the ANC takes care of its labour, particularly with staffers having not been paid for a while. We've seen the pickets that have been taking place. They're frustrated, and this is their livelihoods. These are the people who carry the capacity of helping the ANC as well. Is this something you're going to be looking into when you first get into office to ensure that the staffers are actually assisted in terms of finances and in terms of them being paid what has been long overdue to them?
Actually, Pule, I have been focusing on that since I was deployed as the SGO coordinator, because our staff is our capacity. They are a precious resource to be able to execute the tasks in the office. So we're glad, I'm really glad that working together with the TG in his capacity as a TG, we have been able to pay what we owed the staff on. There may be this and that is still left. But we've also paid the staff for the month of December. We didn't want our staff to go on holiday, on the Christmas and New Year holidays with those concerns. So we really want to apologize that we have put them through these difficulties as the ANC, and apologize also to the families. And we have made a decision that we should reduce the cost of staff for non-essential, especially high cost, high costs, especially for those that were in Parliament and couldn't continue in Parliament. Many of them have got very comfortable pensions that they can live on. And that is one item that has really increased the staff overheads. And we have also lost very, very experience and staff that has expertise. We need to recruit them back, and we need to retain some of those that we have. So the rationalization program has started, and we will stabilize our cash flow. That was a problem, but the organization has investments as well. It is how we ensure that we unlock those resources, but critical is the Public Funding Act. Which we think did not anticipate that putting a ceiling on donations that you can receive would be a challenge. And some of these donations are from the investments of the organization, and it is from the trusts that have been established to sustain the organization. So yeah, a comprehensive program that we have from being able to budget properly, live within the budget, rationalize, but also to ensure that we have a long-term sustainability of the organization.
I don't have much time, Dinapula, but just in a few rapid, is the women rallying behind, those who've been elected to be in the top 7 as well?
Yes, as a Women's League, actually, we feel that this is a celebratory moment for us because we've worked very hard. You'll remember that coming to this conference, the process of the ANC was branches nominating candidates. And when we came here, we only had 2 women nominated as a Deputy Secretary General. But we actually had to work very hard since then up until now, to an extent that we actually had to come and nominate the second Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Marupin, who has now been elected as a second DSG, including the TG as we stand with her here. We actually had to come and nominate them from the floor. And that was not easy. It was bound to be very difficult, but we had to work hard. We did not sleep until at the moment when we finalized the elections and the voting. And actually, as women, we want to really appreciate the branches of the ANC for having supported us. When we made a call since August until last week, you would have had our desperate request that we were requesting branches of the ANC to support us, not only to support us as women, but to support women who have capacity to lead at that helm. Comrades like the TG here, comrades like Comrade Nomvula, comrades like Comrade Marupin. And we actually said every woman who's going to raise their hand, we're going to support them. And we further said we want to make sure that when we walk out of this conference, we have 3 women in the top structure. We said and emphasized that we want to be part of the highest decision-making structure, which is the officials, because we believe that all the decisions that are taken at the officials level, they draw down to the NWC and up to the NEC, and the decisions that eventually are taken by the ANC are the decisions that have started at the officials. And we're very happy now that we have 3 women, and we believe that these women will help us and support women.
Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your
There we
time.
go. That's the newly elected Treasurer-General of the organization, Gwen Ramokgopa, as well as Dina Pule from the ANC Women's League, saying that all objectives have been ticked. They're happy with the fact that there's now, that step in the right direction in terms of women representation into the movement. But most importantly, Ramokgopa saying this is just the beginning. There's still much more work to be done in terms of resolving that headache the ANC has been encountering, which speaks to the financial woes and ensuring that their staffers are paid. It will be interesting to see how things develop beyond this conference.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Pulile Chwiti-Jones, for bringing us that interview with the first female Treasurer-General in the ANC, Gwen Ramokgopa.